What's happening, guys? This is James Blonde. This time I'll be taking a look at Dota 2, which has recently released into open beta after about 2 years of closed beta.
Oh, hell yes.
So yeah, we already have a first look on this game, and I'd suggest you check it out. But I did decide to take a look at the game from my perspective. Now, I can honestly say Dota-style games aren't my forte. I've played League of Legends, Smite, Prime World, and now Dota 2 for about 6 hours, and seeing that the community really loves this game, I decided to check it out and give my thoughts on the game, talking about some of the new features they've added, while showing you footage of me either winning or more than likely dying or trying not to die. So the game is closely based off the original Warcraft 3 mod, but with better user interface, improved experience, and other features above and beyond the original game's engine. And so yeah, that's what they're going for. But before I get into much, I've just got to say how cool it is for Valve to have the game set up so that new players enter the game or download the game in waves. And they do this so that way they don't have a huge rush of players into the game to lag the servers, hindering the current players' experiences. On the other hand, the other nice thing about that is even though it's a queue, it really doesn't take that long to get past the download and to start playing. So kudos to Valve for thinking about players' experience all the way to that degree. Alright, so if you're a new player like me, the new tutorials are your best friend. According to their patch notes, they've recently added a new segment in the tutorial that gives players a little bit more of the advanced game concepts. And for that, I'm grateful. This one teaches you about the use of the courier, like secret shops, and a little bit about some of the items that you can use, all of which I can imagine be difficult to figure out without help. But on a side note, the tutorial's map is a little strange in that it's not based around the lanes and towers and the normal gameplay of the game, the normal map anyway. And with that, I don't know, I can't decide if that's neat or confusing to players who've never really seen this style of game before. Either way, the tutorial is a lifesaver and it's pretty inviting for new players. Along with that, they've also introduced a new limited hero mode as part of the extended tutorial. Basically, it narrows it down to 20 heroes to choose that are going to best introduce the gameplay mechanics to new players. Now, using my knowledge of MOBA-style games like League of Legends or Smite, I enjoy playing range classes, preferably casters if I can figure out, you know, what items build fits them best, so that way I'm not having to worry about mana so much. So I tried out Lion, which from the pictures I've seen has had a visual makeover, a facelift, if you will. In choosing my characters, I noticed the names of the heroes can be pretty, I don't know, straightforward, which is not that big of a deal, but it doesn't seem like you get that sort of experience you might get with League of Legends, like as in players can get a little bit more personal with their champions or heroes. I know that they're trying to keep it original, but come on, Earthshaker, Bounty Hunter, Invoker, what are they, wrestlers? Nah, I'm just joking. Overall, the champions look pretty cool, or the heroes. If you're speaking of Dota 2, you gotta say heroes. People get offended. Especially with the nice visuals in the game, they look good. And now that's actually a really cool aspect of the UI, having the hero animated in the hotbar. It really takes the roots from the Warcraft 3 look on a whole new level. But on the other hand, I did feel that the user interface was a bit cluttered opposed to some of the other games like League of Legends or Smite that are trying to keep it like really streamlined and give you the most view. So it did take a few minutes to get used to that. So back to what I was saying about the champions that I chose. Now, I played as Lion for a match, and then I tried Windrunner, and then the Drow Ranger, and then you know, a couple others like the Sand King, and then Lion again, and then Razor. Now what I realized is that each of the heroes is actually really easy to learn. I want to say more so than the other games that I've played. I really like how they have them set up so that the skills are unique enough that they are very distinguishable for their use in combat. I guess what I'm trying to say is that compared to others, it was easier for me to make a super fast decision with my skills in combat with heroes that I've never even played as. But then again, it might also have to do with the limited hero mode and that those champions are a little bit easier for players to pick up. I do really like the fact that once you're past the learning stages of the game, all of the heroes are immediately available to players and you don't have to grind for access, giving players that don't want to pay or grind for a while a fair advantage. So in Dota 2, the cash shop is based specifically around cosmetics. Not just skins, you can actually change like the voice packs similar to that what you can do in Smite now, and even change the game's UI, which is nice. Not to mention it gives you the price of the items that you're interested in, the currency of your region. No more like converting gems or whatever from actual cash. But all of these games have a pretty steep learning curve, and on top of that, each match you play is completely different from the last one.
Oh, hell yes.
And so you're always trying to get better, and it never seems like you're getting better, and then all of a sudden you'll have a match that you play really well, and then you suck the next match, and life goes on. But honestly, don't let that idea keep you from playing these types of games. They're really enjoyable, and you know, everybody's got to start somewhere. Not to mention, as you get better, your teams tend to get nicer on top of that. But it is handy that in this game, and like others, it tries to keep its community clean and help to encourage good behaviors that have positive effects on the game. Negative community behavior is the #1 reason people stop playing these type of games or don't ever pick them up in the first place. They've got a system in place that lets players rate their experience with the match, along with the ability to report bad behavior or good behavior. And out of the several matches that I've played, I didn't really experience negative Nancy's in the game. I mean, even when I was feeding one of the enemy heroes, which for that I was raging on myself. Now, I don't really mean to compare Dota 2 with other games like it, but it's kind of unavoidable. My overall impressions of Dota 2 are a lot more welcoming than with League of Legends. Not that I don't like League of Legends, but there seems to be, now, more features in Dota 2 that can make it seem more relaxing to new players. I really like the idea of the carrier. I think it's an awesome element in the game. Being able to send out the donkey to bring you items that you purchased from the shop is the best. I mean, I think that it's something that all these games should have in it. It puts another defensive factor in the game because the opposing team can kill your courier, which is typically used by everybody on the team, preventing you or your teammates from getting your items, potentially forcing you to have to retreat at some point. And this kind of goes along with the teleport scrolls in the game. You have to purchase them in Dota 2, which I'm not exactly used to. In League, Smite, and Prime World, you just have the ability to teleport back to the base whenever you want. Of course, you've got a cooldown, but in Dota 2, you've got to purchase them. And they've got a cooldown. And similar to Prime World, you can teleport anywhere on your native land and not just back to base. So it's all sort of a trade-off, but it doesn't really take long to get used to, especially when you're just beginning and you don't know any different. And speaking of which, the item shop in this game is actually pretty intuitive, to be honest. It's appealing in the way that the icons for the items look, and that it seems to make sense what items sort of go together as prerequisites to make some of the more advanced items work. And it's nice that you can click on an item and then be able to very clearly see what other prereqs it needs to make that item. Plus, while you're waiting in queue, they have a little mini game that allows you to get a little bit more familiar of what items make what other items. And that's pretty handy. I also think it's cool that if you've got extra gold lying around, you can buy your way back into the fight if you die. But on the other hand, there seems to be a lot more punishment for dying in this game than there is with the others. If you keep dying, you keep losing gold, in return keeping you from getting the items you might need and slowing your leveling progression compared to your team and enemies more drastically. There's a much bigger risk for reward factor in this game. Some of the other cool features that are neat are things like the day and night cycle. It's cool because at night you can hardly see at all, or your vision is a lot more limited, and it really adds to the gameplay and the emotion in the game. It's subtle enough that if you're deeply into what's going on in the fight, you might not notice, but it is different enough to know when it's safe to chase after an enemy into the darkness or not. But my favorite subtle feature, and it's really not that important, but it really makes the experience for me, is when a hero refers to another hero after killing them. And I know League of Legends has a little bit of this going on, but I think Dota has it ingrained into the game itself. Like, for example, when I killed the sniper when I was the Drow Ranger.
The olden ways are best, sniper.
Your middle tower.
Or when I died to the Skeleton King as the Sand King.
I die. What's this, Sand King? No bones?
But one thing I do like a little bit better about some of the other games is the way the visuals are done or portrayed. Now, don't get me wrong, the visuals in Dota 2 look absolutely sick. The graphics are incredible. But it seems like the realism aspect of the game takes away from the player's ability to distinguish spells casted from other players or enemies. With League, you've got bright, colorful, high-contrast environments, and it's easy to see when things are flying at you. Now, another thing is the size of the creeps in Dota 2. I'm not really a fan of the fact that they're just about the same size as most of the heroes themselves. I think it may make it harder to pick out your target a lot of the times. But then again, these things are just my opinion. All in all, the game does a great job of keeping me interested and wanting to get better. More so than with other games of the type. If you're looking to start playing this style of game, they've really made it accessible to new players and sort of address some of the fears that they may have. And they're working on making it a game that people want to keep playing. And they've succeeded with me. On the other hand, Dota 2 is extremely competitive, and players looking for that here will surely find it, but you guys already know that. But it is nice that they do have the tournament schedules and events all presented from a tab in the menu. Even if you feel the game isn't for you and you don't want to play, I think that a lot of people would enjoy watching the game for its competitive elements. and hopefully talking about what I like about the game will get some of you that are weary about trying it to give it a shot. For those of you looking for gameplay and fundamentals, definitely check out our original first look at the game, which I've linked in the description below. Plus, if you're looking for more info about the game, head over to the game profile at MMOHut.com. We've got a really good, brand new written review on the game, so check it out. That'll probably appeal to you guys that have been playing the game for a little bit longer than I have. But until next time, guys, that's going to be it for me. I'm James Blonde. See you out there, gamers.